Hello and good evening and welcome back to another show of the Prime Premier League podcast London show. And tonight we're going to start off on a sad one with the news that George Baldock sadly passed away in his villa in Greece in the last 24 hours. And our condolences from everyone here at the Prime Premier League sends them to his family and friends. And let's crack on with the show, guys. How are we? Wes, how are you?
Evening, Wes. I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Doc, how are you?
Well, good, thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, sweet, thank you. So I'm going to start off with last Saturday's fixtures. Obviously, it was the last one before the international break. Doc, what did you make of the Palace game, mate?
First half was a little bit of a slow start, to say the least. We sort of wasn't at the races, really. Far too many changes. There's not enough consistency in the starting lineup. I think it shows in the performances. Like I said, first half wasn't good enough. It was ultimately one of them halves. The fact that it was only 1-0 was the only positive that I could put on it, really. The fact that, you concede a goal against a Liverpool after 8 minutes, it could or should be a long day at the office. I mean, we stayed in there, got to half time. Didn't really concede many chances in the first half. They only actually had 2 shots on target. So it's not like they ripped us to shreds or anything like that in that aspect. They did get a lot of corners and stuff, but there wasn't much of a threat there. Second half, he makes some changes and he changes the complex of the game a little bit. We were by far a better team in the second half. It was a much more of a Palace performance. So we created more chances and we had more shots on target over the course of the game with that second half. Some might say we were a bit unfortunate not to get anything out of the game in the end. But like I said, with regards to the overall performance, he just needs a bit more consistency with his lineup. And I think we'll see a bit more consistency in the performances. But I still take a lot of positives out of the game. It's hard to take a positive from a loss, but like I said, 1-0 against the Liverpool team and having more shots on target than them is not really a terrible day at the office. It's not an ideal result, but I think that sums it up, really.
Yeah, Doc, with your first, go back to like first game to now. Is there any alarm bells from a Palace perspective, or do you still think you'll find a way under Glasner and obviously this new look Palace side that we've seen this year so far?
I don't think there needs to be alarm bells. I think people that use alarm bells are just people that panic too soon. I think that we've created enough in the games. I think the majority of the games that we've played, we've been the better team, if I'm totally honest. We've not put the points up. So it's a little bit concerning that we haven't put up enough points. But like I said, Glasner as a manager doesn't start very quickly over the course of a season anyway, if anyone does their research. Crystal Palace as a football club, it's not the first time, it won't be the last time. So yeah, there's no room for concerns just as of yet, as far as I'm concerned now.
What do you make of your start in the 7 games? I know you said that you've been the better side in most of them, but obviously you're still without a win and you're only a couple of points on the board. Do you think that'll improve after the international break? Do you think the international break's come at the right time for Palace?
Not really. Not really. I don't think the international breaks come at a good time for anyone, really. I think it's just a hindrance, isn't it? It's very hard to pick up momentum when you've got breaks coming. So I don't think it benefits us. I don't think it's going to really cause this an issue either. Like I said, the season's a 38-game thing. I don't really need to be concerned after 9 games or 8 games or whatever it is at the moment. I think, let's be real. You look at that table, the bottom half of the table, no one's really put up any points that's a concern. I mean, it only takes one win and then you're right up there. So I'm not concerned. I'm a little bit frustrated. Yes, I think frustration is the right word. But I'm certainly not concerned. I don't think you need to be concerned when you're thereabouts the way we are, to be honest.
Going down.
Welcome, Matty, to the. How are you, mate?
Sorry, I'm late, mate. Absolute carnage day, mate.
So let's hope your team boss don't turn up late next Saturday for your cup final. But anyway, Wes, how are you? How are you, mate? What
I'm good,
3-1 winners against Southampton. Didn't have it all your own way by all accounts. I didn't watch it, so that's why I'm by saying all accounts. First shot registered on target in the second half. Arteta made numerous changes. Lack of respect from Arteta, or do you think it was just a rotational thing?
Yeah, I think you can look at it both ways, mate. With an international break, I'm not sure why you have to make so many changes, but he did make 4 or 5 changes, and I think it showed, to be honest. We had a lot of the ball like we do in most games. Clear-cut chances, we didn't have many of them. Like you say, no shots on target, I don't think, in the first half. And then obviously second half, they score first on the counter-attack, which was a bit of a surprise. And then we sort of kicked into gear, made the 3 subs, brought on Martinelli, Trossard, changed the game, brought on our strongest players. Sort of Saka stepped up, Havertz scores again. I think it was his 7th goal in a game in a row, equaling Van Persie's record, which is good for Havertz. And then Saka does what he does best: 2 assists, another goal, and we win the game. But I was quite impressed with Southampton, to be fair, mate. I really was.
I've got Southampton to go down with the least amount of points in the Premier League and absolutely going to struggle. And I generally thought Arsenal would wipe the floor. I don't know how the others felt about it, but I generally thought Arsenal were going to wipe the floor with Southampton. And it just didn't seem to happen, did it?
Yeah, I don't know whether the changes affected that, how we played. Possibly. I mean, most teams you make 4 changes, you're not going to be as fluid. Doc will tell you, I think his team makes loads of changes. I think that's one of their big issues at the minute. So making changes is never, amazing. But yeah, we got the job done, mate. Can't complain again,
Yeah. What have you made of your first 7-8 games of the season? Up there, title contenders?
I think we're going to be up there again, yeah. Whether or not we win it is a different story. Can we win it? Of course we can. Will we? Not sure. Too early to tell at the minute. But I think our start's been fantastic, mate, when you look at the context of it. We still haven't had our best 3 midfielders playing a game yet, which is going to be Marino, Ødegaard and Rice. We've had some tough away games, Spurs away, Villa away, City away, 7 points from them 3 away games. You can't complain. 3 hard away games out the way, nice and early. And then you look at the Brighton game. We was dominating that game until we had the man sent off, rightly so, may I add. That ends up in a draw. So I don't think we've got any complaints, mate, from our end, really.
Who do you return against? What's your fixtures like when you return? Are they quite savage?
Bournemouth away. Bournemouth away. Then we got Liverpool at home, I believe. After Shakhtar at home in the Champions League. Yes, we go Bournemouth away, Shakhtar at home, and then Liverpool at home. Yeah. So that should be a big test, Liverpool game.
Yeah, that'll show you where you're at as a club as well, won't it?
Yeah, I think so for both teams as well. If you look at Liverpool's start, I don't think they've had, they've not played what you would class as the biggest, better sides. You can only beat who's in front of you, of course, but I think we'll know a lot more about Liverpool as well, where they are as a team after their next fixtures. So, yeah, that game should be a good game, mate.
Yeah, I think that it's got all the ingredients for a spicy one, that one, isn't it? Where's
Bournemouth away? I think it's quite tricky though. Like if they turn up in the way they get against Chelsea, I think you'd be in for a good game. But if they turn up the game against
they was very good at Chelsea, yeah. They was very good when they played Chelsea, weren't they?
I don't think you have any problems though, to be fair.
No, I don't think
it depends as well, though, doesn't it? It depends who comes back after this international break again. Last international break we lost Ødegaard, who apparently is not far away now. So if you get all your team back and your squad back, yeah. But if we go and lose a Timber, or I don't think Timber's gone, but if you lose like a Calafiori or a Saka or a Rice, you could be sort of up against it again. But hopefully none of them come back injured.
Clubs have really got to get out of this mindset of we're the big club and looking down at the smaller clubs. I think to win the Premier League, you need to treat every single team with the same respect that you do the big games. I think that this is the biggest problem that's caught you out in the past. I think the fact that the point at going to the Etihad last year with if we get a point here, we should go and beat Villa and that concept. I think that it's about time that the big boys actually wake up and smell the coffee. The smaller clubs, every single team in that league can turn you over. If you
I
don't get
agree,
it
Doc.
right, and if you
That's why I
underestimate
said
them.
I was. That's why I mentioned about Arteta. Did he disrespect Southampton in a way with making 4 or 5 changes? I don't think you can disrespect any side in this Premier League. So I agree with you, mate.
I don't see it as disrespect. Listen, if you're in an Arsenal squad, you should be good enough to play for Arsenal. And if ultimately you can't be trusted to come on the pitch against Southampton, then you shouldn't be playing for Arsenal Football Club. So I don't think it's the case of disrespect. I don't think it's the case of dropping 3 players. I just think that they were pretty poor. I just think the players that you brought on didn't perform in that first half. Yeah, I don't think it's disrespect. I think Arteta's totally within his right to rest a couple of players and give some of these other people an opportunity, and that's the sort of game to do it in. And ultimately, you've won the game quite convincingly in the end. So I don't think it's disrespect. I just think that, your players have got to be a little bit better.
I think also.
Instance.
Go on, Doc. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think also we've got to give Southampton some credit and praise as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%,
literally everyone writ them off, and they went there. All right, they played well for probably 60, 75 minutes of the game. But yeah, I think we have to give.
I'll tell you what, who looks like a great player. That little, is it Diblin? Tyler Diblin?
Yeah, Tyler Diblin. Yeah, he's linked
If
with a
they
lot
go
of big
down,
clubs.
I can't see him staying there much longer if they did go down.
No, he's linked with a lot of big clubs at the minute.
Good player. Good player.
Yeah, very good player.
Really good.
But Wes, you got a dog in there?
No.
Matty, have you got a dog?
A dog? No.
Yeah, just as well, because you can't hold on to a lead. What happened, mate?
Fuck it, geezer. What do you think it is? Like me and Wes falling flat. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
What happened, Matty? Come on, talk to me. I missed the first half, mate, when you were supposed to be like prime Brazil, but
I've been waiting all week for this.
I sit in there and I still question like what did happen. I don't think anyone knows. I don't think even Ange knows. I don't think when people saying, "Oh, Ange ain't got a clue," blah blah blah, how dominant we was in that first half. I didn't expect major changes. Like we played with Bentancur, Madison just got deeper, gets on the ball. There's no need to make any changes. Purely what happened, the players just absolutely crumbled, and that's all it was.
What do you mean by no one knows what happened? I think the majority of the world knows what happened. Spursy done Spursy things. That's what happened.
What is Spursy? What is Spursy? Because
the real Spurs stood up, mate. That's what happened.
No, but what is it? Because my definition of Spursy will be different to yours. So what is your definition of Spursy?
Basically, not achieving the target that you set yourself, and flopping and being a laughing stock in English game, mate. That's what I'd say.
All right, so what?
I think that sums up Spursy quite nicely, really.
Well, so apart from Man City, then, like West Ham have Hamzy, Palace have Palissy, Arthur.
We have Spursy moments. We all have Spursy moments. But
no, hang on,
you are Spursy.
Moments. Why have we been labelled the title Spursy?
No, but you are Spursy,
though. My definition of Spursy, and I agree, there is a Spursiness, yeah, but my definition of Spursiness is it's deep. Do you know what I mean? It runs deep into the club, and I don't know what it is, but something is not right. Right? Especially now under Ange, right? I can't say we've been Spursy, but this has continued on throughout the years, right? But away from home, especially, we concede. Expect us to concede again within the next 5 minutes because our mentality isn't there. I honestly believe we need an experienced player to come, or one or two experienced heads to come into that squad, and when things are going tough, right, and just get them in and say, right, come on, we go again. Like I look at Arsenal, they've got young players, right? They've got Jorginho. He comes in, no, but he does. He just settles in. He settles in, doesn't he? Comes in the midfield and just calms everything down. Tottenham need an experienced head. We're relying on players like Putti Ramiro to be our experienced head, and he's not that man. But I think
you didn't have Kane for 10 years, no?
Huh?
You didn't have Kane for 10 years, no? Having an
Kane
experience
can't
in
do-
there, that didn't make a blind bit different.
No,
Nor
I
did
tell
it
you
when you
now,
had
mate.
Lloris in goal. Your Spurs, mate. Your Spurs.
If Kane's in this Tottenham team now, you see an unbelievable team. I'll tell you that now. If Kane's in this squad now under Ange, you see a lethal team, a clinical team. Right now, I look at our fixtures, what we've played, and the games that we've lost, we haven't been outplayed. We should have beat Newcastle and we should have beat Brighton. We should have. Arsenal, you could question your draw. We was the better team, but you could say a draw would have been a fair result. There's no game that we've actually deserved to have gone out and lose, and I do believe Tottenham will turn a corner. The mentality thing at Spurs, I think it even hits the fans, and we're suckers for it as well. We concede, we're like shit because we know what's coming, and our mentality needs to change on that as well. So yeah, it is Spursy, but my definition of Spursy is to you is totally different.
Matty, do you think Sunday was a definition of no plan B? You're 2-0 up.
Not at all. Not at all.
And there's just no, I don't know, like the high line and like they just seemed like Spurs just fell apart. It was like a slice of the cake and a knife just going through the middle of it.
Straight after half time, and Dogie made a mistake. Don't clear his lines. They just tap one in, automatically there, game on. Head Brighton and right back in the game. If he just clears that ball, you're probably looking at the same first half. But mate, plan B, people say he should have made his subs earlier. I look at that bench. Who are you bringing on? Basuma. Who are you bringing on? We haven't got the depth. What other, like, say, for instance, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal have got. We haven't got that depth. So I don't know who you're bringing on. We're relying on Mikey Moore to come through at 17 years old.
I thought you had the best goalkeeper and the best defence in the world, though.
I don't know who's told you that.
Oh, that's the concept that I get, like talking to Spurs fans.
Spursy fans.
Yeah.
Look, Tottenham do have a decent goalkeeper, and individually, Ramiro, Van der Ven, Ndogi, and Porro are all top players individually. Yeah. The way Tottenham play, fullbacks are higher. Do you know what I mean? We're relying on our two centre backs, defensive midfielder. I don't know where he is. We don't even really play one. Sometimes you see Bentancur up there pressing as the striker. You know, mate. Look, the way Ange is playing, I am fully behind it.
So Brighton, mate. Brighton. They were fully behind your back on three occasions, mate.
So I could see you went down there in 19th for where he is.
Matty, we've got a comment here from James Coots. Welcome to the live, James. It says Ben Davis can do a job.
Well, look, you know James Cooper as much as I do. The geezer ain't got a clue.
So, Matty, what do you make of your start from the start to the start to now, mate? Obviously, you been a bit up and down in it. The performances
we
and
should
results.
have 100% seen that through. Just silliness, just unbelievable, just collapsed. Newcastle, we didn't deserve to lose, but I would have took a point there in the end. So if you're not going to win, just don't lose. Like, where's your mentality at Man City? You know, like if you're not going to win the game, don't lose the game. You know,
If you can't win, don't lose. Yeah,
exactly that. I think Tottenham needs to start having that approach. Like, I do believe Ange does need to start listening and does need to tweak a couple bits. But do I believe the Brighton performance was on him? No, I don't. I think the players have to take full responsibility of that. But there has been games.
Do you think he is going to tweak things though, Matty? Do you think, like, if he's not? Do you think he is going to tweak things though? If he's come this far, and all you hear in every interview is this is who we are, mate. This is how we play. You know, is he going to ever?
I don't think he's going to tweak things, but when you watch it and the way we play, the amount of chances we create, the players have to take responsibility on the pitch, especially in the final third when we're missing sitters, right? He can't control that. Yeah, the way we set up to play, games should be out of sight by that 60th minute. And
remember, we went through a spell last year just before Christmas. Similar thing. We went through a spell just before Christmas.
We went down to like bare bones there, didn't we? We lost our whole back line then.
No, I'm saying Arsenal. We went through a similar thing last year where we couldn't score. We just couldn't. We had a spell where no one was scoring goals and we were losing games. Like, it's like Arteta was coaching the perfect game of football, and
It
we
just
just wasn't finishing our chances.
I believe Ange right now, the way he's set up and got us playing is unbelievable. He just needs another couple more players to start making us tick, and it will come. And any Spurs fan that
How many's a couple? How many's a couple?
I think he needs another two. He needs another solid midfielder, and I think he needs like we can't keep
Another
playing
two.
Werner. No, but we can't keep playing Werner. Sonny's pushing on. We need someone on that left hand side. We do. Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, but it's just that you said another two.
He's answering his critics. Solanke, he was involved in both goals on the weekend against Brighton. He's just doing a good job. We need someone on the left hand side because Werner's not the answer.
You just said another two, yeah?
Yeah, another two. So I'm going to say left winger and we need a centre midfielder.
But you know when you get them two,
Yeah.
you ask for another two after that, didn't you?
If you don't keep improving your squad, then what are you doing? So every year,
I mean,
I feel like every year, I think you should make two transfers no matter what. You need upgrades in the positions that you've got to get to where you want to get to, you know?
I mean, when you
Matty,
think
do you
about
seriously
it,
think
yeah.
that? Do you seriously think that Spurs' signings this summer have upgraded that squad?
Yeah, I do. Like, well, obviously, we've got Solanke and Richarlison both as our strikers now, so we ain't relying on Son through the middle no more. And we fell short loads last year on that. Werner, mate, it's just basically a free loan, isn't it? And it's a Levy just doing a Levy deal, yeah. We got Bentancur back fit now, so I believe that the whole back line, I think that's fine. Archie Gray and Bergvall and that. I even said this. They're for 2 years' time, you know. They're not now. We've paid the money now, but they're for 2 years' time.
So you haven't improved your squad, then, have you?
Young kid as well.
Oh,
the young winger.
yes, they have. That's the whole point with Spurs. They have improved their squad, right? 100% they've improved their squad. There's one flaw in improving their squad. They haven't improved the starting 11 that starts most games. That's the problem.
No, you're right. No, you're right. We haven't. We've still got kind of the same 11 apart from Solanke gone in, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well.
James goes on to say that he'd rather Big P on the wing than have Werner.
Mate, he's speaking facts now, Cooper. Do you know what I mean? He's listened to my comment a minute ago and he's coming back with facts, mate. He's learned.
Go on, Wes.
Mate, what about Johnson's recent form? He's looking good, doesn't he?
Mate, I'm real, mate. I like Brennan Johnson, even last year, mate. And you probably, like, even if you went back and listened to some of the Tottenham podcasts and that I've done, I've always backed Johnson. And people that have gone out there and slated him and stuff like that, you need to give your head a wobble. Like, what goes through your mind to think, do you know what, I'm going to go and actually abuse this geezer? Like, what goes through someone's mind to actually go and do that, you know?
To the point where he deleted his social media, didn't he?
Yeah, and I'm just pleased he's turned the corner, you know, and, like, proving the critics wrong, you know? Like, look, he's a young lad just wanting to fulfill his dream, you know, and people are out there just trying to ruin it for him. What, because Spurs don't win a game?
Very Spursy.
Yeah, Matty, after
I asked you for your definition of Spursy and you couldn't give it. So,
What do you mean I could give it? I summed it up nicely, mate.
I don't know what that definition was.
Matty, after the international break, obviously you got your cup final. West Ham come to
Big
town.
cup final, that one.
It's your cup final, brother. An informed West Ham come to the Shirt Art Lane, as we call it.
An informed West Ham because they've won one game.
One more than you, innit?
That don't make you informed, though, does it? It just means you won your last game.
You're only as good as your last game. We won it.
True.
Like England, just gone 1-0 down. Good luck.
Have they?
Yeah,
Really?
Tony.
I think it might have been where's the screen and it's just froze.
I think it might have been Mavropanos that scored that and all. Informed West Ham. Matty, what are you expecting from the West Ham Spurs game? And I know we're touching it next week in more in depth, but just like early thoughts, mate.
If you asked me at 5:15 on Sunday when Tottenham were 2-0 up against Brighton, I would have said about 10-0 Spurs, mate. I thought we'd beat anyone out there. No, I'm joking. Like, I think we'll beat you 2 or 3-1. If I'm honest.
I'd say 2 or 3-1 every week, though.
Huh?
Is there any
guys look a
team
little
that you
bit
don't think
disjointed.
you can beat 3-1?
Oh, what's that? What's that, Doc?
Is there any team in the world that you don't think you can beat 3-1? Every
No,
single week,
I was
your
saying
prediction
when we
is
were
you're going to
beating
win
Brighton.
3-1.
When we was beating Brighton at half time, I was so confident and so hyped that we could beat any team in the world. But I was saying now, going back to the West Ham game, I think we'll beat West Ham 2 or 3-1. I think West Ham just look a little bit disjointed. It's not quite clicking for them yet.
Oh, you obviously didn't watch our Saturday.
Oh, you play Ipswich.
Can you play what's put in front of you, pal?
I'm not even convinced Spurs have got 3 goals in their locker, to be honest.
No, I don't.
How many goals have you scored this year, Doc?
Sorry?
How many goals have you scored this season?
How many goals have you scored?
Yeah.
Well, how many games have you scored 3 goals in?
I think we've scored quite good this year.
How many games have you scored 3 goals in this year, including your Europe and your Carabao Cups?
Everton at home. Pumped them. Pumped them. Smoked them, Doc. Smoked them. Just like you're
Talking of goals, who's leading our little bet?
Havertz.
At the minute.
Havertz. What is it? 4.
Yeah.
Solanke 2. What's Mateta? 2, 3?
2.
2.
I think
4, 2,
Mateta
2.
was down 2 as well for the end of the year, man.
You don't want to chuck Jared Bowen into the hat, Big P?
Nah.
What about Antonio? He
No.
got a goal last week. He's bound to score against Spurs next week.
Oh, breaking news. I know you're probably not going to agree, but Saka's just been taken off after 51 minutes because he's done absolutely nothing.
And I am absolutely over the moon with him being taken off. Bring him back.
I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure that he's took a good corner, and I'm sure he's created the best chance in the world, and it was the striker's fault.
Let it go, Doc. Let Saka hate go. Come on.
That's another game that I've watched Saka with my own eyes that he's done absolutely nothing.
Let it go. Come on.
Let it go.
World class.
Doc, stop watching Frozen, mate. Just let it go. So
Let it go.
you think you'll be all right, Matty? Then, yeah.
I think we'll be all right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you think you're going to win a European Cup? Because I've heard today that the bookies I don't know how true this is, but allegedly you've got the best squad in the competition and you're the bookies' favourite to win it. So do you think you're going to win it?
Who's second favourite? Man United.
Yeah, I know Man United. At the beginning, Man United and Spurs were joint favourites to win it.
Wait, Man United is second favourites. Didn't you just see us absolutely lay the smackdown on them the other week? So
the question wasn't whether you were betting on Man United. The question was, are you going to win it?
We've got a very good chance.
Boys, he's playing it down, boys. I see his TikTok the other day. He's got him to do the double this year. He's got European and domestic cup double.
Non-biased one there, mate. Non-biased.
Do you want another side wager? Do you want another side wager that a tenner says Spurs don't win the Euro?
This year, mate. I'm not going to be divorced on the same day, mate.
No, I'm just asking a question. Do you want to wager on Spurs winning Europe? Because I can't see it happening, mate. And do you know why I can't see it happening?
Well, what's in it for me? That's just.
Do you know why I can't see you winning it?
Europa League or not?
No, but the reason why I can't see you winning it is when all's said and done, you'll be Spursy, and you'll have a Spursy.
It's who you are, mate. It's just who you are, mate.
Just who we are, mate. Yeah. You bring anything to the table in this wager, Doc, or?
I just said it. I'll put a tenner on it.
What? So you're putting a tenner on Tottenham's failure?
What?
Basically,
you're putting a tenner on Tottenham's failure.
Basically,
easy money.
Easy money. Easy money.
Easy. Fair enough.
What
about West Ham then, Big P?
What do you reckon, Big P?
On what, mate?
Tottenham West Ham. You going, P?
No, I'm not going. My brother and dad are going over.
I would have landed one on you, mate. I'll tell you.
You'd have had to have reached me first, Matty.
He would have swung one your way and had a Spursy moment and missed the target, mate. I wouldn't worry too much.
Look at him.
I think if we play the way we did at home to Ipswich, and I know it's Ipswich, and people say, "Oh, it's only Ipswich," but a lot of people have backed Ipswich to stay in the league. A lot of people have said how relentless Ipswich are, how great they are defensively. Well, I actually thought the opposite. I thought they were pony from start to finish. They had about 10 minutes in the game where they looked decent. All right, they scored, I think, as a goalkeeping error. I don't think the keeper should be getting beat from there, and how he did. But other than that, I thought West Ham were dominant, mate. I thought they dominated from start to sort of finish without that 15-minute period in the first half. Antonio probably had the game of his life, but as you said, we've got Spurs coming up, so
He always turns up.
he always does well there. But even the way Kudos, Bowie, and Paqueta linked up, they were class. Go on, Doc.
Whoever told you that Ipswich are solid at the back?
I've heard it all season. I spoke to Brighton fans that said they're relentless, they're good at the back, they defend well. Southampton fans said the same. Do you know what I mean? And it shows. They got a 0-0 at Brighton. They drew 1-0 down away at Southampton. So
Good
they've got to
result
do
with Villa there as
something,
well,
right,
didn't
they? What's that, Wes?
They had a good result with Villa as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
2-2.
yeah, and a good result at home to Villa the week before. So I generally think that Lopetegui found his system, and the performances are now going to start to come, I think. Obviously, coming back to a Spurs away ain't an ideal game just after the international break, but on the other hand, is it a perfect time to play Spurs? Most of their squad's travelling. We haven't got many players away on international duty, I'll be honest. I think we've got about 3 or 4, but not many players away. So they can have a full week's training, where Spurs have got a bit of a mixture, haven't they? And a lot of them are away on international duty.
That'd be right.
I think it might be the good
based on
time.
everything you just said. So based on everything you just said about him finding his form and you finding your way and Antonio and everything else, and they've got players on international duty, you ain't. If they turn you over good and proper, what's your concept gonna be then?
Well, like I do every week, I'll tell you my honest opinion. If we don't turn up,
No, I'm saying about the manager, because obviously if the manager's found his way now, you shouldn't be getting turned over, should you?
Yeah, there is that. But every manager loses games, don't they? And we are only 8 points in, and it is Tottenham away. And I could say the same about Palace. You go to Spurs the weekend after, so if you lose that and lose to Forest, what's it for Glasgow? Like it's one of them, innit? You're 9 games in, you still got to give them a chance. Spurs ain't an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. I'll take a point there at Spurs, I really would. But I think Tadibo and Kilman look really good. I thought Wan-Bissaka and Emerson looked good with the link-up play down the wings with Bowen and Kudos. My only concern is that does he go with Souček in the middle of midfield with the height and the sort of bullishness, or does he go with a more of a drop Paqueta back, bring Somerville into the side? Do you know what I mean? And things like that. And I thought Rodriguez played really well. He's like an unsung hero, like against Ipswich. He played really well, and Alvarez didn't even get a look in. I think Alvarez played about 10 minutes.
Pete, I can't wait to speak to you Thursday week, mate. I tell you.
I'll be buzzing Thursday week, mate. Trust me. It's where I find out that Paqueta's been injured playing for Brazil, and Souček and Klufel have been injured.
I don't know how true it is, Paqueta. I heard he might be banned for life or something about his mobile phone and that. What's going on with that?
Yeah, mate. So it looks like that he had to give in his phone, innit? And it looks like, it don't look good for him, put it that way. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I don't really want to sort of spread rumours, but they found messages on his phone, basically, mate, and it ain't looking good for him. And I think they said that the outcome will be next summer, so he'll play this season, but whether we'll see him again, I don't know. I generally think if he's found guilty, we'll never see him again. But you can tell he's got something going on, mate. Do you know what I mean? In his performances, he hasn't been that great. Even my brother said against Ipswich, like he still looked lost again, like just didn't seem interested. So, don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? But yeah, it ain't looking good for him. Guys, I've got a question for you, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I want to talk about England. Is tonight the bombshell that Ollie Watkins needed to give up international football? Our first choice striker's out, and our second choice striker don't even get a look in. What's going on? Or is Lee Carsley just thinking, let's do England over because I'm Irish?
Was that right? Did Bellingham start up top? Because I've not even seen the lineup, nothing.
Well, when I see it, at Foden and Palmer up top with like 2 wingers, but yeah, from what I've seen, Bellingham looks like he's playing it down the middle.
my opinion, if I was Ollie Watkins, I would retire from international football. Reason being, you're playing Greece at home. Kane's injured, and he said he's probably thinking, I'm starting. Kane's injured. What hope does Ollie Watkins have if he's going to start Jude Bellingham or whatever up top?
I agree, mate. I agree. Wes, what's your
I
opinion
think
on it?
if I was Ollie Watkins, I'd be banging on that manager's door tomorrow, and I'd be saying to him, "Listen, mate, with all due respect, don't bother ringing me again. I can't be bothered with this." But I also think this is laughable. I've never ever seen, and even Southgate, I've never ever seen such a pathetic performance, right? Such a pathetic lineup and such a pathetic formation in my life. Do you know what formation we're playing?
Go on.
Go on.
4-2-2-2. What
That works out
the hell
4-2-4.
is that?
So that should work out 4-2-4 in attack, though, no?
We're playing 4-2-2-2.
I'll be honest.
There's not a holding midfielder in sight. Yeah, we've just had Declan Rice. Literally, in the first half, we've had Declan Rice, our holding midfielder, on the edge of their box. They've broke through. They're going at our 4 defenders every single time. They're making them look like, I don't even know. It's like we're Scarborough and they're in prime Brazil. They absolutely ripped us to shreds about 17 times. It is absolutely ludicrous. It is ridiculous. It is. This is shocking, mate.
Scarborough beat Palace at the minute.
Wes,
but this is shocking, mate.
Is this a way of Lee Carsley trying to find how to put everyone in that squad? Palmer, Bellingham, Foden, Saka.
I think if it is, it just goes to show that you can't get them all in the squad together. We had the same issue, didn't we, with that golden generation with Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes and all them boys. Sometimes you just can't fit everyone in the same system. But to be honest, boys, I didn't. No, that's what I mean. You shouldn't.
You've only got 4 midfielders. You've got 4 midfielder positions. You've got 6 midfielders. It's not rocket science, is it? It's not rocket science. You can't fit 6 into 4. You need a striker on the pitch. You ain't got a striker on the pitch. You think
listen. If there's any time to try it, it's now, isn't it? In these Nations League games, they're glorified friendlies, really.
Is it when you're looking to go for the job? Is it really the time to be doing it, or do you just put out your best team and get the win?
Hold on. What do you mean? We had Southgate going to the Euros, and because he didn't know his best formation, he decided he was going to start pulling rabbits out of his hat in the first game and start putting like these tricks and cards out of his sleeve and God knows what else, like he's some sort of magician. These are the games, where you put a consistency in place with a formation and a style of play that you want to play in the World Cup in 2 years. You don't be messing around. We're not going to be playing 4-2-2-2 in a bloody World Cup, are we? Behave yourself.
Maybe Carsley will if he gets the job by the looks of it.
Well, then let's hope he gets sacked in the morning then. And let's hope he gets sacked in the morning then, Because that is ridiculous.
Just on Carsley, boys. What do you think about him not singing the national anthem? I know he's obviously not English.
I think it's horrendous. I think it's absolutely horrendous. I think one thing as an England manager, you should be singing the national anthem regardless of your
nationality. Sven used to sing the national anthem, didn't he?
Yeah. I generally think as an Englishman, everyone that represents our country should be singing that. And that's what I take my hat off to Gareth Southgate for, because he made every single player sing that national anthem, whether they wanted to or not. And it's the same with the management team. I don't care if you're Irish, sing it.
Yeah, but I think that's slightly different now, isn't it?
Why is it slightly different? What, because it's a paddy?
If you're playing for England, you've got an association with England. If you're German, you haven't got an association with England, have you?
But you should still represent the country, so you should still sing their national anthem.
See, I don't see it like that. I think if you're not from England and you're singing our national anthem, I don't like it myself. It's our national anthem. If you're English, sing it. If you're not English, don't sing it.
I think too much is made of singing the national anthem.
I totally agree with the players. I totally agree with the players. If you're an Englishman playing for the England shirt and you don't want to sing the national anthem, take the shirt off, mate. See you later. Thanks for coming.
Don't mean to be rude, Doc, but half of them ain't English anyway. Let's be honest.
Well, with all due respect, I can't believe Wes is asking about the manager singing the national anthem and not asking why he's playing 4-2-2-2. To be honest, it's absolutely ridiculous.
The thing is with Carsley, he won something at the under-21s level without playing a striker.
Oh, did he really? Yeah.
He played Anthony
Didn't he win
Gordon
the,
through
didn't he
the
win the
middle.
World? He won the World Cup or the Euros or something, didn't he? Under 21s or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, playing Anthony Gordon through the middle. Playing Anthony Gordon.
All right. So that's going to help us when we go into a World Cup then, isn't it? Because he done it at under 21 levels when our under 21s is arguably the best team in the world. And they can
Just
perform
go
it.
out there and play the 4-2 fucking 2-2.
Like, this is the whole concept. This is why I don't like this whole concept of let's get an under 21 managers in. You know, when I manage like the kids, I can play 7 up front and it's not a problem. That don't mean to say that if I get the England job, I can go, let's stick 7 up top. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
Who do you want in there, Doc? Then who do you think? Who do you think is right man for the job? Then
I've said all along that there's not an Englishman that's the right man for the job. There's not an Englishman in the world that's right for the job because they've all got the same thing in common. None of them are tactically like savvy enough so that when you go up against a tactician, which is what you ultimately get when you get to the big games, they always get found out. So I'm a strong believer in if we can't beat them, we've got to join them. So I don't really care who you get in, but it's got to be a foreigner and it's got to be someone that is tactically like switched on, savvy enough that can go toe to toe with them, or we ain't going to beat them.
Give it to Big Roy. That's what James says. Roy Hodgson, next England manager.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Roy Hodgson, because he loses to Iceland. But this geezer, who was apparently the best manager in the world last week because he beat this mob, and is now losing 1-0 at Wembley. And, what does that tell you, mate? Should he be sacked in the morning like Roy was? Yes, he should. Get rid of him.
I'm a bit different to you, but I am definitely different to you. I would go with Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe's got all the ingredients to be a good international manager. He's falling out with the directors at Newcastle, so I think it's a good time to approach them and try and snap him up. I think an Englishman has to be in charge of the English national team. That's my honest opinion. Matty?
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. An Englishman should be in charge with the England national team in an ideal world. The only problem is with that is for that to happen, you've got to validate with the fact that England will never, ever win a competition in your lifetime. We are now the Arsenal of the world where we've got to be proud of coming second. We've got to be supportive and being very happy that we've come second. And that's okay, because we're making progress. But if you want to actually win something, can't be English, mate.
See, I think they pump too much money into the FA education of coaches and coaching and stuff like that. If we go out there now and get a manager from abroad, what does that show our young English managers coming through? So I think we have to go for England managers. The amount of money the FA have pumped in this, they're not just going to go and get another manager from abroad. They're not going to do that.
What about you, Wes?
I'm of the opinion best man for the job. Couldn't care less where he's from, what he looks like. If he's from Mars, if he's the best man for the job, then get him in. I don't see an issue with whether he's English or not. But I do see Matty's point, though. They have pumped so much money into this that I don't know whether they will go down the foreigner route again.
So what? Am I missing something? What do you think they've pumped money into? What? Into what?
In the grassroots game, they're trying to educate all the coaches and all the children, ain't they? And they're trying to get, when you turn 16 to 18, they're trying to get you on your coaching qualification straight away.
Yeah. But that's not nothing to do with because they're expecting to turn out the next English manager. That's so that they're all on the same level, so that the players play the style of play that we need at the top of the game. That's to improve the 11 on the pitch, not the managers, mate.
Where you working at St George's Park or what?
You what?
You working at St George's Park or what? How do you know all this inside info?
Well, no, I've just done my coaching badges, mate, so I know the concept behind it. Like when you do coaching badges, they show you what the concept is. It's about developing players.
says, what about Gary O'Neill?
I like
Yeah,
Gary.
what about Gary O'Neill?
Well, we're talking about England managers, and so what about Gary O'Neill? Would you give him a chance?
Me? Would I give him a chance?
Anyone?
I would, mate. If Ange left
I've just
tomorrow,
explained I
he's
don't want
going
no English manager. Last time I checked, Gary O'Neill was English, so the answer to that would be no. Like, why would we want to go with a less experienced manager than what we got now? I don't understand the logic. I just don't get it.
Do you know who I'd give the job to, guys? Do you want to know who I'd give the job to?
Go on.
Dr. Ketspire. I think
I
we'll be.
wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it. There's no way I would take the job because the fact that the FA want a puppet, and me and the FA would fall out on the first week, mate. I'd turn up and I'd say
First
to them,
week. You're giving
it's
yourself
my way or the highway, and they'll go the
First
highway.
hour. First hour on the phone, I reckon.
Exactly. There's no way I'd take the job, mate. I wouldn't want to work for them numpties. And this is the concept. And this is the whole point. This is what English fans have got to understand. The FA is there to do right by the FA. They want a puppet on a string. They don't want to put the best man in for the job. And we wonder why we're in the predicament we're in. And this whole concept of have an Englishman, because it's easier for the FA. Because most of the Englishmen are pussies and puppets that do as they're told. You need a bit of attitude. You need someone in there with a bit of charisma, mate. And you don't get that from an Englishman. They're all wet lettuces, mate.
What about Pep when he leaves City, Doc?
Say that again.
What about Pep when he leaves City?
I've said all along, mate, he's the right man for the job at the right time. Whether you can entice him in or not, everything there for me is screaming Pep would take the England job. He likes it in England. He likes working with the best players out there. He normally wants to go and buy the players to play the style of football that he wants. Well, he don't need to do that in international football. He likes success. He likes a project. He likes a short-term project, a 3-year deal. Come in, win your trophy, leave a god, get your statue. Thanks very much. See you later, mate. I'm off. Nice bit of wedge in your pocket. Everyone's a winner, baby. Pep's the man for the job, but will they do it? Probably not.
Do you know? I think they should have thrown the bank at literally the checkbook. Is Klopp when he left Liverpool, because he obviously made it known that he wanted to sort of semi-retire. He was getting a bit too much. International football is basically semi-retirement anyway, isn't it? Really, the amount of games they play. I think they should have thrown everything at the fella. Not saying he would have took it.
I don't believe the conversation never happened, Wes. I don't believe that someone hasn't approached them and asked, and he's just basically said no.
You reckon he probably was approached, yeah?
Yeah. We were looking for a new manager. We knew the situation. We knew the situation with Southgate. Most people knew that even if he won that competition, he was probably going to leave anyway. They offered him the job to stay. He said no. They must have known that was a realistic thing. Southgate made it pretty obvious in his interviews, the situation. That this was his last real chance of winning something. And if he wants to be remembered as a good manager, he needs to win the competition. They must have known the situation. I find it hard to believe that Southgate never.
Might be right, mate, yeah. You might be right.
I think that this was all part of the master plan. I think that they generally thought that Carsley would come. Like Carsley was guaranteed the job if they couldn't get the right man for the job. They've approached the two people that they want, like the Klopp. They've been told no. I'm just hoping and praying that they've done something behind the scenes with Pep. I'm hoping Pep has given them a signal as if to say, keep the job vacant for a year, i.e. the interim. Keep the job available for me. In a year's time, I'm available. That's what I'm hoping. But
let me tell you now.
Do you think Pep's got everything to lose taking that job though? If he doesn't win anything,
no, I don't think he's got anything to lose.
Legacy a little bit, no.
No. Did it dent his credibilities when he never won in his first year at City?
No, I suppose not. But what I'm saying is he went on to have the career he's had at City. Say he takes that England job for 3, 4, 5 years and he doesn't win anything. Does he look back on it and think?
I just think that's when reality sits home. I think if you've had a Pep in charge and you still don't win anything, I think that's when the world accepts that not even Pep can do it. So it's not possible. You know what I mean?
I suppose it's a bit like Spurs when they're Mourinho winner, Conte winner. And then they both left with nothing. Very similar.
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. It's all right, though. It's all right, though. It's okay, though. Do you know why it's okay? because Ange always delivers in his second year. Remember that, yeah?
So can you understand why I went with my non-biased prediction? Because Ange will deliver this year.
I generally think if Pep said that give me a year and I'll be there, we won't be going to the next World Cup. So let's hope he ain't give them that signal,
What's
because
the England score?
most of the qualifications would have been done by then.
What is
I don't
England
know, what's
score?
Oh, 1-0, brother.
Still 1-0.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm missing it. What do you think that we wouldn't qualify?
I don't think we're qualified with Lee Carsley at the end. No way. Can't beat
Why?
Greece.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think
What I've
Carsley
seen of
can sort
this.
that tomorrow. I think
Yeah,
I do
come on,
respect
man.
Carsley. There's one thing I do respect Carsley for. He could have quite easily done what a lot of people would have done: come in, kept the same formation as Southgate, and just done it the Southgate way and took the accolades of it. So I do like the concept.
4-2-2-2-2.
Sorry,
Now he's gone 4-2-2-2-2-2-2.
yeah, that's where he's gone a bit too far. Like that's the problem, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, if you need to phone a friend, just call this number, 422222.
Beating the 2-2-2-2-2-2-2. The geezer was just through on goal, and it should be 2-0 Greece, but he's missed it.
Should be.
Get Dave Bassett in.
Should
Mike
be.
Bassett. Mike Bassett. Mike Bassett. Mike Bassett.
Boys, on just on England, quick. I've got a question. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Cole Palmer winning England Player of the Year, having played just 44 minutes for England in 2024?
He only got that from his, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing with Palmer getting it, I think it's morally wrong that he's done it, but I think it's also quite ironic that he's done more in an England shirt in that time than Saka's done in the last couple of years. But
Saka?
you know, I do agree that amount of time is not acceptable to win the trophy. Like, but I do think in that amount of time he's already secured to the nation that he should get in front of Saka because he does more. But other than that,
Well, it's. I
he shouldn't
think
have won
is
the
it?
Player of the Year.
Am I right in saying it's voted by the fans? So do you think it's like it's the last memory the fans? You know, he scored in the final, didn't he? So it's like the last memory they got of him. So fresh in their mind, type of thing.
Yeah. So what they've actually said, what the professionals have said that have spoken about it, from what I've seen on like when I've researched it, is they've sort of said it's not right with the amount of minutes that they've got, but because the fans vote for it, they remember the impact that he makes every time he comes on, and because he makes things happen, ultimately he's their favourite player. Like as far as they're concerned, every minute that he's on the pitch, he's doing something proactive. So that's why they're giving it to him. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's like man in a match, isn't it? How can you get man in a match when you only play 20 minutes in the match? You know what I mean? You've only had a good 20 minutes. But it's not morally right because he hasn't played enough. But the fans obviously are basically showing everyone that that's their favourite player. So, you know, I honestly think the England team needs to be made around Palmer. I generally do. I think that Palmer is the one player that not only does he make things happen, he tries to make things happen. He's like, you know, that's his first fault. He don't second guess himself. You know, I think that he plays the way football should be played. So I generally think the England team needs to be built around him now. But that doesn't mean to say that he should have got that award. But for me, he's the first name on the sheet now and build everything else around him.
Short and sweet answer. Who would you have given that Player of the Year for? P?
Oh, tough one.
In an England shirt in the last year, who would you give it to?
I'd have probably gone Jordan Pickford, mate, to be honest.
Doc?
It's tricky to say with regards to the calendar year because of the fact that for me personally, and I know what you're going to say, I think Pickford is a very good shout. I think other than Pickford, someone like Declan Rice has been quite consistent would be the other one I'd mention. But I think that Gahey would be in with a shout with his performances over Europe, with his performances in the game leading up to Europe.
I'm off. I'm done.
I think, like, you know, over the year that he's had in an England shirt, I don't think he's had a bad game. So I'd put him in the mix. But again, it depends if that's only 6 months of the year and it goes for the 4 games before he played, then he don't get a shout. So it all depends on how that year works, doesn't it, on the calendar? But
Yeah.
Doc,
But yeah,
Doc, just out of interest, is Gahey in this squad? Like, is he been called up for this?
he's on the bench.
Oh, right.
He's on the bench.
Where?
I agree with Doc. I think Gahey would have been a good shout, but probably didn't play enough games in 2024. But I think he was one of our best players at the Euros, wasn't he? But I don't think you could probably have looked past Bellingham. I mean, do you remember Bellingham had that mad spell of even Madrid and national teams scoring every week? And then you look at his big moments in the Euros, that last minute overhead kick and stuff like that. So I think Bellingham could have got a shot, but I agree Rice as well. But I mean, we all know Saka should have won it, but he can't win everything. He won it twice already. He won it the last 2 years. Can't win it again.
Saka win something? He's not used to that. He's used to coming second, bruv. That's why you need to give him the runners-up medal. Throw him out.
I hope he comes second in this year. Then I hope he got second place.
What I will say is Saka is the perfect role model. Matty, Matty,
I think I would have gone Rice or Saka, mate. If I'm honest, like I'm much I hate him, like because they for Arsenal and that. I'd probably have to give it to one of them two.
Yeah.
I think Rice, he's so dominant midfield. Rice is. He's so dominant in midfield, and I think we haven't got another midfielder like him.
I see some mad stat the other day. I think Saka's played. I think is it 31 times for England. He's had 9 Man of the Match awards. It's pretty mental, really.
How many corners?
I don't think he takes corners for England, does he?
No, I don't know.
I don't think he
does. The one thing I would say about Declan Rice, though, and this isn't a criticism of him. This is obviously the formation that we play, like as in what we've played with him in there. He needs to be our holding midfielder, but he needs to hold. He's far too forward for a holding midfielder, and he exposes our back 3 or back 4 at every opportunity when it goes the other way. Whoever's telling him to go that far forward needs to be put down. They need like their head wobbled because he's a holding midfielder that's on the edge of the box. What's that all about?
No, Doc, at Arsenal, they have like party holding, and Declan Rice gets a bit of freedom, and I think that's where you get the best from Declan Rice. I don't think he's just a pure holding midfielder. I think
in an England shirt, he hasn't got Partey next to him, and his role is the holding midfielder.
Then we need to get another holding midfielder to get. You need Declan Rice's energy around the midfield, not just holding.
He can do both. I mean, Big P will tell you. I've got him at my club. Big P's. He can do both.
I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not suggesting he can't do it. The whole point is, the concept is, he's the best holding midfielder in an England shirt. He's the best English holding midfielder.
I agree, yeah.
Anyway, so therefore, he should be holding.
Declan's coming on. He's coming on.
He ain't coming nowhere. It's 2-0 now. But, guys, we're going to close out the show now. I just want to have a big shout-out to the World Mental Health Awareness Day is today. So if you are struggling, please reach out to a loved one or a friend, and don't think you're on it on your own. That goes for you 3 nutters in the panel as well.
It also goes for the 20,000. It also goes to the 20,000 fans at the England game that literally just picked up their phones and phoned their helpline, mate, because this is crazy.
And I suppose it is a fitting way to go out. Thank you, guys. But it is a fitting way to go out to a RIP to George Baldock, who was sadly taken too early from us, age 31. And he's probably up there with a smile on his face tonight after the Greece performance. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Cheers, boys.
Matty, I'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah, you will, mate.
Big one.
And I'll catch you all later.
Bosley out.
You.